Hi Mortgage Heroes, Andy Cruz here in Business Development, and this is your weekly video newsletter. This week I'm coming to you from the desk, and we're going to go over the loan performance insights and talk about what that means for what's on the horizon regarding housing and mortgages. So first I want to let you know that the CoreLogic system provides a variety of reports every single month to those of us in the mortgage and real estate business. And the reason this one is particularly important is because we're starting to get data that is post the initial close downs and post the CARES Act, when the forbearance was enacted and people started taking a break from their mortgage payments, and we're starting to see some of the effects of that, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So right here on Loan Performance Insights, you can see a little introduction and description of what CoreLogic is and what they're measuring. But what you see here right away is the amount of loans that are 30 days or more delinquent nationwide is now 7.1% of mortgages that are late by at least 30 days. And that even includes those that are in foreclosure still. And if you look at June of this year, it's 7.1%, and June of last year it was only 4.0%. So that's a stark difference. And you know, a lot of that has to do with the CARES Act and the fact that people who maybe made it in the first month or the second month just started being unable to make it financially and then became late on their mortgage payments. So when you look at the recession's impact on loan performance, you can see a specific number of states here that have very high overall delinquency rates this year, can not only compared to last, but they have a relational correlation to unemployment claims through that same time of June 2020. And this is where it starts to get really, really interesting to me, is when you look at the national loan performance, you see that we have this 7.1% of loans that became 30 days or more past due in June of 2020. And then you see measurements for 30 to 60 days, 60 to 90, 90 to 120 days, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you know, simply put, anyone who's 30 days and continues to be unable to pay becomes 60 days late, and they become 90 days late, so on and so forth. So when you get down to this really key metric called the transition rate, this is where it gets very fascinating. So in the month of June 2020, of the loans that were already 30 days late, 49.3% of them became 60 days late. That means anyone who was already 30 days late, 49.3, like half of those became 60 days late. They basically matured to the next level of delinquency. And it gets even worse when you go from the 60 days to the 90 days. So 60-day delinquencies that moved into 90 days, 75% of those that were 60 days late became 90 days late. Now that is a huge problem, because once you start getting towards past 90 to 120 days, now we're talking about pre-foreclosure and then eventual foreclosure. And that is where I think we're going to eventually down the line see some changes in mortgage and real estate. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'm going to just try to keep it to this report for now. If you look at the serious delinquency by state, well, look at that. Everything's red. Okay, so delinquency has increased everywhere. Again, all this points back at unemployment, forced closures, voluntary closures. And here's the thing that got my attention. When you look at serious delinquency by metro area, a lot of California, like the majority of California, is red. We saw increases of delinquency up and down California. If you look at this map, it goes all the way from the border where we're at here in San Diego, all the way through Orange County, Imperial Valley, Los Angeles, Ventura County, San Francisco, and even northern of that. So we're in a part of the country that is facing a lot of delinquency challenges. And what this means to me is that we're going to have to put a focus on getting people back to work, and the people that are in work, maintaining that work and having continued employment. The only way this delinquency goes away is by getting out of delinquency. And the only way we can do that now is to catch up on our payments, do some sort of loan modification program with the lender by adding the delinquent amount to the end, or having a catch-up provision, or if you're in forbearance, trying to get out of forbearance. And the reason I'm making this video today is not to alarm anybody. It's to let you know that this is what we're seeing as a result of the CARES Act and so many people taking forbearance as an option, either by choice or because they had to when they didn't have work. So Is it surprising that this is what we're looking at? No. Is it disappointing? Yeah, it is disappointing, because each one of these numbers represents a person or a family, and this also represents someone's shelter. This is how you keep yourself warm at night and dry when it's rainy. So this is discouraging, but I'm hoping that what we'll see at the end of this year and going into 2021 is we can start seeing some businesses open up again. When we can get people back to work and get jobs going again, then I think we'll start to see some of these delinquencies taper off. And I really look forward to the day I could come back and report to you that the amount of people that went from 30 days late to 60 and 60 to 90 is actually decreased. That'd just be fantastic. So as you know, we're always advocates for fair housing and for quality housing. And it was just important to go over this today to kind of just paint the picture of where we're at. It's clear to me that many people, millions of people, have taken advantage of the forbearance program, and some of that is, again, because they chose to, and some of that's just because they needed to. So right now we're in a position where anyone who is on time, we're still able to help refinance, and now we're competing with the December 1 deadline looming when the FHFA fee will go into place. That was originally supposed to be September 1 and got delayed. And even though all this data that I'm showing you today is about delinquencies and mortgage lates, there is an overwhelming amount of people who are still on time, still employed, and saving money by refinancing. So I hope that this has been informative and educational to you. If you have any questions or you want to talk about this in any further detail, you can reach me anytime. And if you want to get a copy of this report, you can go to corelogic.com and you can register to get free reports on a monthly basis on whichever topic fascinates or interests you the most, whether it's mortgage and real estate, it could be commercial real estate, it could be residential, it could be finance. So there's a lot of information in these reports, and the consistency of them and seeing them month after month after month, you start to put together all the pieces of the puzzle. So looking forward, once we get a little deeper into the fall, of course, we'll get the July numbers, and then we'll get the August numbers, and that's really going to show the full story. These June figures are really kind of just a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of what we're starting to see since the CARES Act was enacted in March. Up until this report, we've only had, April and May's data, which was still pretty light. This June one is a little bit heavy, and I'm expecting that the July and August will be a little bit heavy too, because there has not been a massive resurgence of jobs, and I'm expecting that the delinquency rates are going to just continue folding over into the next stage. So the 30s will be 60, 60 will be 90, 90 will be 120, et cetera, et cetera. So could that mean that we have a much larger housing problem looming on the horizon? Yes, quite possibly it could. But we're hopeful that in this window of time we have now, we can help as many people as possible save money on their mortgage, so that the negative impact of whatever that might be down the road will be nominal at most to you and your family. So thank you so much for watching this. Hope you remain to stay well, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.